everyone. We are in Boston today, and we are here to celebrate a wonderful man. Scots around the world celebrated last night because last night was January 25th. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Robbie Burns, as he's known in Scotland, and his life, his legacy, and what the heck his statue is doing here in the Fen, just behind Fenway in the Back Bay of Boston. Robert Burns was born in Alloway in Ayrshire, Scotland. That is the southwest part of the country, down not that far from the English borders. He was born a very poor farming family. He worked hard as a child, and you can see here depicted in this beautiful, beautiful statue that he has a walking stick, his dog, some farming equipment, a book, of course, probably a book of his poetry, and we can see here on the side some thistles, one of the national emblems of Scotland. The Burns Society put out a contest. They wanted drawings and concepts for a new Burns Memorial to be placed in Boston, and you know, a lot of entries came in, but ultimately the one that won this contest was the one that you see here, and this was a creation of Henry Hudson Kitson. That name is special around here because he also made the Captain Parker statue that I show you guys all the time on Lexington Green. I'll insert a picture now. So yes, Henry Hudson Kitson, a very talented, amazing artist, sculpted a lot of American war type generals, captains, ranking officers, everyday men, soldiers. He loved that kind of theme, and he was a fan of Burns and made this incredibly detailed sculpture. Of course, there are sculptures of Burns all across the world. There's another Burns sculpture in Quincy, Mass, and next time we are down there I will show you that as well. But this is the one that sits here in the Fen, this beautiful park here. You can see a very cold and frozen park landscape. We notice that the Charles River coming in is even frozen. And we're gonna have some more adventures today and kind of see where the day goes. We are headed after this to a vintage market, so just hang tight. Lots of fun this frozen afternoon in Boston. But getting back to Burns. Now, the first Burns night was held just 5 years after his death, and it was put on by a group of about 10 of his closest friends in his hometown of Ayrshire in Scotland. And it pretty much followed the order of what goes on to this day. They had a big meal, they made a toast, they recited his poetry, and toasted to his remembrance. This caught on, and the following year more people attended from, you know, his community, his writing community, friends that he had in Scotland. And each year more and more people would show up, and each year it would spread more and more throughout the country and eventually throughout the world. Robert Burns is important to Scottish culture because he wrote about themes that were often political, kind of a nationalist theme to them. And I don't say that in any kind of negative connotation. He did a lot, as Sir Walter Scott and others did, to prop up Scottish culture, keep it alive. And his poems were written in kind of a light Scots dialect, and it really helped to keep that verbiage alive as well. Of course, I've mentioned in the past that every New Year's people around the world sing Auld Lang Syne, probably his most famous poem, but he has many others. Burns Night, his poetry is recited, and they open the ceremony with the address to the haggis. It's a quite clever and comical ceremony in which the haggis, if you guys don't know, haggis is a very popular dish in Scotland, containing all the best parts of the sheep, as we say, with some fun herbs and oats, and if you're lucky, a delicious whiskey sauce to make it all even more palatable. And traditionally served along neeps and tatties, that is turnips and potatoes, and those, I can tell you, are delicious. So the traditional meal is brought out, they address the haggis, they dramatically slice it open with a sword, they make a toast to Robert Burns. There is an address to the lassies, a reply from the laddies, more poetry recited, lots of whiskey shared, and it has become, a worldwide recognition of this amazing man who was so important to Scotland. Now, of course, there are so many Scottish connections to America, and one that a lot of people don't know about, it's one of my favorite stories, comes from Abraham Lincoln himself. Abraham Lincoln and his wife Mary Todd were huge fans of Robert Burns. A lot of people don't realize that, and I think it's incredible. It is said that he could recite by heart all of Robert Burns' poems, which there is a lot of them, and they are written in that Scots dialect. So I would love to time travel. Well, I'd love to anyways, but specifically I would love to go back and have a dram with Mr. Lincoln and hear him recite some Burns poetry. How amazing would that be? So he was a huge fan, and him and Mary Todd would sit around and they would even recite some of the romantic poems to each other. Robert Burns, I'm not saying that he was the most moral person. He was quite the womanizer. He had a wife, but he tended to stray, and he was quite the character. I was thinking about it a lot this morning when I was getting ready, and honestly, I think in modern terms, he was kind of like the 18th century Bob Dylan. Just watching A Complete Unknown, the Bob Dylan movie, I was thinking, wow, really reminds me of Robert Burns. He was kind of this character, this like emo recluse in a way, artistic, amazing with words, liked the ladies. Jean, his wife, was his true love, and he even admitted that, he had some struggles as far as fidelity goes, but, he wasn't perfect. We try not to focus on that. It's nice to focus on his writing and what he did for the country, but he did write beautiful poetry about love, apparently a subject he knew a lot about. He also had like 10 children. So Mary Todd and Abraham would sit around and they would read the poetry to each other and memorize quite a bit of it. Oh, Abraham himself could, memorize and quote all of it, which is amazing. And a lot of people don't know that this is very sad. They were actually planning a big trip to Scotland. Abraham Lincoln always loved Scotland. He was introduced. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Into this, call it a fantasy, call it me romanticizing history. I have no proof of this, but we do know for a fact that my husband's grandparents, the Campbells, their parents were from Scotland, and their grandparents, Enos Campbell was a Revolutionary War soldier who has a plaque in Springfield, Illinois, with his name on it, being an honorary war soldier who came when he was 16 and served for the entirety of the war. I have family documentation that these grandparents went on to be members of society in Illinois, and their children were friends with Mary Todd and Abraham Lincoln. They would go to dinner with them. They corresponded through letters. This is when they all lived in Springfield, Illinois, and this is more than family lore. We have proof of all this. And being that they were very, very Scottish themselves, it gets me in the old feels when I think about they might have been discussing Scottish culture as something that we know. The good old honest Abe was into himself, and I have to think that, hey, maybe before this Kelso guy, maybe it was the Campbells of Springfield, our own relatives, my boys' grandparents that really introduced them. I am so tickled, and you can't imagine what it means to me to think that might even be a possibility. It's just amazing. We're planning this trip to Scotland, and it was supposed to happen like a month after President Lincoln was assassinated. So, of course, he didn't get to go on it. But you know what? Mary Todd did, and she took their son with them, and she spent 8 weeks touring Scotland. She went to the Burns Cottage in Ayrshire. She went to the museum. She toured all of Scotland, loved it, and it is said that she often wept. Now, Mary Todd, I feel ya, because when I go to Scotland, I weep too. I weep over the poetry, the beauty of it, the nature, the connection through ancestry, the historical connections. It is an amazing, inspiring place, and every day that I'm not there, my heart is there, and I cannot wait to go back. And next time we go for Abraham Lincoln. The only statue of an American president in Scotland is actually of Abraham Lincoln. And That is at Calton Hill. I will insert a picture. It was very moving to see, and I, like Mary Todd Lincoln, became quite overcome and emotional myself upon seeing it and knowing the backstory. Woo! Any questions? Again, always feel free, drop those in the comment section and I will try to explain anything that needs more explaining, and would love to converse on the subject. But yeah, I can't wait to get back to Scotland and take you guys there, and that's gonna make through these trees here. I don't know if you can see, that is the Fenway sign. So, oh, there goes some Massachusetts geese. Red Sox Fenway Stadium, right through those trees. We were right in the back way, and again, this is the Fen. There's nice walking paths, gardens, and things like that. Honestly, a lot more pleasant when it's not freezing, although it is beautiful. And I kind of feel like a stinker because in theory I like to be cold, just not too cold. I don't like to be hot, but there's cold and then there's cold, you know what I mean? When the wind blows, it's quite icy. But I think we're gonna move on. We're gonna check out a vintage market, which should be interesting, and we're kind of on a date. We don't even have the boys with us today, so we'll see what happens, but we're gonna bring you guys with us. Or look at the Burns statue in the Fen, the park. And as always, I took one for the team today. Finding parking was quite the adventure, as it always is in Boston. We love coming down here. That is the one thing that really sucks, is it can take you, 30 minutes just to find a place to park, because there really isn't any parking. A lot of it is reserved. A different area of Boston than we usually go. This is South Boston, up and coming. A lot of changes here, and pretty impressive. So it's in this building here. They are very, very busy. They're only open one day a week right now for a few hours, so it's a little bit overwhelming. Very, very busy in here. It's gonna be hard to film. Very, very, very busy. Okay, well, that was not it. Sometimes you try something new and it's a win. That was a miss. It was too busy. Not really that big. There was like stuff to see, but it was too hard to really see it because it was so crowded. Honestly, I've been to bigger antique stores than that so-called vintage market. I get the concept. Also, it kind of like had a really funky smell in there, and germs and people, and just, so. All right, we're gonna move on, find something else to do. Remember that time a couple months ago when I came down here really early after I did an airport drop-off, and I took you guys to Sunrise at the USS Constitution, and I was trying to find parking for Bunker Hill? Well, I thought that was just because everybody was snug in their beds because it was, like 5 o'clock in the morning and everybody was parked, but here we are. It is 3:52 exactly, and I still cannot find parking. Round and around we go again, but look how beautiful this street is. I've been noticing that a lot of places still have Christmas up way later than most years. I think Thanksgiving being so late really messed everybody up everywhere, because I've never seen so many Christmas decorations up so much after the fact. But a beautiful neighborhood. Wish I could park. Not only did I finally find parking, but I did a, if I must say so myself, awesome job. Parallel parking. Yay, we finally parked. We are back in the Charlestown neighborhood of Boston. So historic, so beautiful. The sun is out, it is cold, but that is okay. Historic buildings, architecture, everything, everywhere. And I think we are going to go eat at the historic, lovely, beautiful Warren Tavern. There it is over there. I've been coming here for years. It's a place the kids always liked to go when they were little. They named it after Dr. Joseph Warren after they rebuilt this neighborhood. See, it wasn't just the Battle of Bunker Hill. People don't realize that the British also burned all these neighborhoods. There were terrible fires set here, So a lot of rebuilding had to go on, and this is one of the first things that they put up, a new watering hole named after Dr. Joseph Warren. It's very historic and beautiful inside. Good food and drinks too. That I love scenes like this, and if this tavern was good enough for the likes of Paul Revere and General George Washington, it's good enough for me. I think I'm gonna get some chicken tenders. Love me some chicken tenders. They've got some, it's hard with the reflection, but they've got some merchandise in here too for the 250th coming up, and this is a fantastic book on Dr. Warren. Highly recommend. One of my favorite on the topic. Chicken tendies like a big girl. Very good as always. I am very full of chicken tendies, fries, and we shared a beer. You can see we're real heavyweight drinkers, not. Kind of funny, I bought myself a little prize from the tavern. Again, I've been coming here for a very long time, for years. In fact, 5 people visiting from out of town, I like to take them to Warren Tavern because it's got the whole vibe. You're right in this beautiful neighborhood, and of course the Bunker Hill Monument is right ahead, so we're gonna walk there now. But yeah, it's a space that you know, really holds a lot of special meaning for me, and again, if it's good enough for the founding fathers, good for me. Better, in fact. Getting a glimpse of the monument right there. Such a beautiful. Guys later with the little prizes that I got. I just was feeling like I wanted a memento. So it's funny sitting there looking out the window, eating with all the beautiful architecture and kind of treating ourselves. I was commenting on how it almost felt like we were on vacation. We're only an hour from home, which being this close is just amazing. That's beautiful because there's still snow on the ground, but it is a beautiful clear night. Just look at this. Amazing. Come earlier, that is the visitor center, and they've got a museum in there, gift shop, stuff like that. I think I've taken you there on a previous vlog. This is one of my favorite places in Boston. One of my favorite places in the world, I should say. First, we are coming up on the 250th of this tragic battle. It's going to be exciting. We are wondering where everybody's going to park. I'm sure that the National Park Service, the Charlestown neighborhood, and Boston is working on the details. But, oh, you guys, look at this sunset and this beautiful night. Love this city. That is Colonel Prescott, who fought amazingly here. The statue of Dr. Joseph Warren is inside the building there next to the obelisk, and it's not visiting hours right now, but our youngest has climbed this and said it was terrifying. He's like, yeah, Mom, there's no way you could do it. And he got kind of dizzy up there and had to sit down. So, and he's 18. Not because I'm out of shape or anything like that, just because I have issues with vertigo and whatnot. Building of this was quite the thing. Daniel Webster to the rescue again, getting it done, but there was a lot of infighting over the design, the placement, how to do it, when to do it, all that kind of the who, what, when, where of it, and they did get it done, and it is beautiful. Just seriously look at this for a minute. The skyline, the sunset, the history that went down here almost 250 years ago. This is like, and I tell people, best place to catch a sunset. And I recommend everybody visit. These are very much hallowed ground. Signage throughout, so you can come and kind of get an idea of what happened. Oh yeah, so, and John Quincy Adams with his mom Abigail over from Quincy, atop a hill, they could actually see the battle, and I remember Abigail saying that, you know, it was horrifying and they were pretty scared. You could see the smoke and everything from the fires from a long ways away. And of course, this was June 16th. Lexington and Concord being April 19th. So going back to the timeline I always talk about, we had the powder alarm in Portsmouth in December, we had Lexington in April, and this in June. Then Washington came with troops, encamped in Cambridge. I'm gonna take you guys there soon. And the British occupied Boston. Eventually, Battle of Dorchester Heights, we kicked them out. Evacuation Day was a glorious, glorious moment. But these were the early days. 1775, the war was not over until 1783. So a lot in between. And I, for one, cannot wait to kind of try to cover as much of that as I can. Today was a really good motivation because honestly, I feel like I'm on vacation. Or just views for days. I'm kind of taking you guys around here. It is getting very cold, but it's really nice. And so far I don't see any rats in the snow piles, so it's a bonus. So, I mean, just, you know, driving, it's like an hour and 5 minutes to be exact, south from our house. To be able to come here and, you know, do this pretty much whenever I want, I can't tell you guys what it means to me. Ben Franklin, another Boston native. Everyone thinks he's from Philly. I mean, he lived there as an adult, also in London, also in Paris a bit, but he was born right here. Good old Beantown. He said, "You are now my enemy and I am yours," because after this battle, it was a sure thing. There was no turning back. So much had happened. There was so much loss and devastation. And there was no mistaking that we were in the thick of it. Wait to see what they have planned for the 250th. I know that last year they did like a big, kind of, they called it like their mock big celebration. I mean, they do something every year and it's fantastic, but they really tried to like do a big deal this last year, knowing that, like, in preparation for this big one to come. So it's gonna be exciting. Might be a little crazy, but exciting. Well, it is very, very cold. And I think we're gonna make our way back up north to good old New Hampshire. And I'm really glad that we ended up finding parking and eating at Warren Tavern. It's been a little while, maybe a year since I've eaten there. Again, been there bunches of times. It's always a good sign too when there's like lots of locals. It's legitimately good. It's not like a tourist trap. There is that street that we were driving down before that I was filming. Now we are walking down it. It's really nice. And if you're wondering and thinking, I bet you those places are expensive, you would be correct. These are several $million-dollar homes. And the ones that have little gardens or garages, you can add several more millions on to those millions. But it sure is lovely. Started with Robbie Burns and went to a not so great vintage market. It was okay. I mean, maybe we need to try it again. When it's not so busy? That could have been part of it. What just ran out there?
Bunny rabbit.
A bunny?
Yeah.
It wasn't a rat, right?
City bunny.
A city bunny? Are you sure that was a bunny? Look how pretty this is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, bunny rabbit. Was that really a bunny? Or are you just trying to not scare me? Ah! It's a bunny. Aww. Okay, those aren't scary. I did not expect to see a bunny. That's a welcome surprise. So as I was saying, squirrel, no, bunny. We did a little bit of everything today, didn't we? It was kind of just a random fun Boston day. Lots of history. It's always fun. And hope you guys enjoyed it. Every red-blooded American should make sure to come to Boston and do some of the, you know, well-known things. Sometimes things are popular for a reason. Bunker Hill, the Freedom Trail, all the historic sites along the way, they are popular with good reason. It's because they're the Tavern again, looking lovely this evening. I mean, we have like property, which is nice. This would be a different lifestyle, but I think it'd be fun in a way. I don't know. I like having land. I like having space. And we're in kind of like a neighborhood, but it's sprawling, I would say. I don't remember walking this far. I'm not ending the video because I think this is worth showing. Give you guys an idea of what beautiful. And, you know, a lot of this is from the late 18th century, early 19th century, because of the fires and the rebuilding that they had to do after the battle. And there was a lot more hills here. So much of Boston is backfilled. It was quite hilly. Some might say mountainous. In the 1600s and 1700s. But as people came in, things had to change, I guess. And it'd be fun to go back though and see you. And it was hilly. You can squint, imagine, try real hard. Until then, time machine and imagination. And that bridge there kind of goes, you wind up in the north end, but it connects kind of over here to this side. That is called the Memorial Bridge. And if you see, it's got like the top of it looks like Bunker Hill on that white there in the middle. It's kind of cool the way they did that. But yeah, this is not a red light district. That's not. It's because there is a fire call box. This is not. One time I was in London and like London, England, over by Piccadilly, I think, and I turned down the wrong street and I wound up in the red light district. That was interesting. Yeah, so you see there is the Memorial Bridge. Alright, well, it's been another fun day, and I'm that history chick, of course. Like Patrick Henry, I know of no way of judging the future but by the past. Past is now. Past is real. Past is alive. And we're coming upon the 250th of the Rev War. And the past has never been more real than now. So let's embrace it. Let's enjoy it together. Thanks so much for watching. If you guys could do me a favor and smash that like button like we smashed the British. Alright guys, take care. Remember I told you guys that I got a little prize today? So when we went to the Warren Tavern, I asked about the glasses in the case, and the guy told me that this was like $8.50. So I'm like, yeah, throw one of those in there for me too. And when I got home, it was really funny. I took it out of the bag. It was wrapped in a whole bunch of newspaper, and in the bottom of the bag, there was a whole bunch of matchbooks. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when was the last time you saw a business that actually gave out matchbooks? I'm wondering how long they've had these, and do they have like a lifetime supply they just give out, or do they really keep ordering them? I think it's really cool and amazing. It says Warren Tavern. It's got the address and the phone number, and then the back, offering an unpretentious approach to good food. Really, really old school. Lots of fun. I don't have the need to use matches often, but I've got a few of them now, and I'm okay with it. I think it's fun.